sewer and all the ones that I'm not even thinking about now that are there to keep things going. That the water is on in the middle of the night, the power is on in the middle of the night. The police are around when they're around. They're on duty. Father, I thank you that construction season is progressing and there have not been any serious accidents. Father, I pray that this construction season would come to a close and it would remain that way. Father, again, I humbly ask that you would give wisdom tonight. In your son's name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Okay, let's call the meeting to order. Another pledge? Yeah, just want to give you, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carries. Approval of the minutes of last meeting is found on pages 1 and 2 from September 5th.
I have a question on the SPN engineering agreement. It was in the paper that they came to you after the meeting about, and can we get an explanation for that?
Yes. The engineering agreement, if you sign up the engineering agreement for each other phase, we have to sign an additional paper. So like if we wanna go to bid, we have to sign another document to go to bid on that same engineering agreement. And if we want to actually accept a contract with somebody, we have to sign more documentation. So by signing the agreement as it was, all we're going forward with right now is the design phase, and they cannot go any further without signed documents to continue on. So,
Because we had the funding available to,
yeah.
yeah. Okay. Anything else? Thank you for that. If nothing else, what it does is just more or less clarification of anybody that has any questions with regard to,
Yes.
something.
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll
as
second.
read.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Discussion? Okay, hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carries. Okay. Public input.
I have something.
Yes, please.
I would like to thank, I guess it would be the road department. Whoever, is it the road department that sprays for mosquitoes?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, I wasn't here last week, but at the end of, the last meeting, but at the end of the last month, there was the party in the park. And that has becoming a tradition, 3 years in a row now. And there were a lot of people concerned about the mosquitoes because they have been particularly bad this year. But there weren't any. It was
No.
well taken care of. Whatever Ron and his crew did, they did a good job. And I also want to thank the city for providing the park and giving us giving the community access to it. The church has access to it. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
On that same note, it's nice to see any gathering where community members and maybe non-community members are having an opportunity to, to come together and, various fellowships and entertainment and things of that sort, so, thank you. Any additional input? Okay, hearing none, we'll have a public meeting, for a variance at, 7:30, so we'll go on to any unfinished business, and that's, law enforcement. before we go to law enforcement, because this last Municipal Magazine had a really nice article on conflict of interest, and you know, I appreciate that. With regard to law enforcement, I appreciate Councilman Price for his input with regard to that. I'm sure everybody understands too that his wife worked for the Sheriff's Department, but basically everything he gave last time was just more or less for public knowledge. He was not expressing an opinion one way or another, and I appreciate that. And I think each one of us we take conflict of interest very seriously. You know, I know past, when I was on here before, there was things that, with regard to the school, it's pretty tough for the 6 or 7 of us around this table to not at one time or another, you know, have something that is or could be perceived as a conflict, and we do everything that we can to minimize any perception of wrongdoing with that regard. I know in the past, like I said, when something came up about the school, I totally recused myself. And as mayor, I didn't have a vote on it anyway, but I did not want to take part in anything. And if I remember correctly, there's one time I may have even turned the meeting over to somebody else because I did not want that perception, if I remember correctly. Anyway, having said that, and so I know Councilman Price had somebody just talk to him because it was a former matter that was somewhat indicated that if anything was done about it or looked into it, and just kind of where it stood at this time. So I will just leave that at that. And but I do appreciate. I did have one, you know, person ask me, you know, he didn't, you know, with regard to that. He said, "Is it?" And I said, "Well, it was just more or less a fact-finding information. It was not anything of support, one way or another." And so, anyway, I just wanted people to rest assured that we are very, very, very much aware of anything of that sort, and we want to stay totally above board. We want. So, with that, I will just.
Going forward, just so it's motioned, I relayed everything that was asked of me from several citizens to Mike Wett, since he's also on the Public Safety Committee. And then the information that was obtained already, just so he could be the point person on this specific topic of discussion.
Okay, all right, I thank you for that. Then, this might bring up somebody might be thinking, well, in my appointment, why did I put, you know, Councilman Price on that? You know, at the time I was putting the committee members together, I didn't take that, I wasn't aware of it, or it wasn't a thought, you know, with regard to it. I just, you know, whether or not I was aware of it, his wife worked for the Sheriff's Department or not, it was just a kind of a non-factor in doing that. So I want to make sure that people are aware of that. So when I did that, I wasn't thinking of that matter. So, okay, thank you for that. Anything else?
I do have some records Ted provided as far as arrests per year. Let's just start with 2023 so far. There's been 13 arrests. That includes arrest and juvenile summoned to court. 2022, there were 2. 2021, there were 0. 2020, there were 4. 2019, 3. And 2018, 4. So from 2018 to 2022, there were a combined 13, and there's already been 13 this year. 2022 case reports, there were 31. And 2023, there's been 36 as of September 17th.
36 what?
Case reports.
Okay, and that's from our chief of police.
This
that's
is from
information.
Ted Huss,
Okay.
Chief of Police, yes. And then 2022 citations, there were 191. And as of September 19th in 2023, there have been 246. 2022 amount of warnings was 299. In 2023, as of September 17th, there've been 425. So as you can tell, they've been a lot busier, you know, more active, which is good. And I also have the Han County, the Sheriff Department numbers as well. 2018, there were 10 arrests, 279 uniform traffic tickets, 78 warnings. 2019, there were 27 arrests, 332 traffic tickets, 213 warnings. 2020, there were 35 arrests, 253 traffic tickets, 170 warnings. 2021, there were 27 arrests, 211 traffic tickets, 288 warning tickets. In 2022, there were 28 arrests, 246 traffic tickets, and 389 warning tickets. And 2023, to this point, there have been 38 arrests, 288 traffic tickets, and 238 warning tickets. Just to give you an idea of the numbers of the Sheriff Department and of the Police Department. As you can tell, the Police Department has substantially gone up this year, which is good.
Will you forward that to me so I can? I couldn't write
You
that.
guys couldn't write all that fast? I tried to speak slowly and clearly.
Yeah.
Yes,
it
I
was
will forward
clearly,
it to
but
you.
it wasn't very slow.
Sorry about that. I tried to slow down. Must be the pain.
And again, I don't want to, you know, when information like that is given, I would like to have somebody other than myself elaborate on it. The intention is not to see how many, you know, tickets you can give. The intent is to keep our community safe. That's the intent. And if somebody is doing something that requires a citation, then a citation. I can remember when there was a business right by the four-way stop, and that person in that business, she said, you cannot believe how many people go through that four-way stop in a day without stopping. You know, I remember a number of years ago, I think it was towards the end of the school year, if I remember correctly, and there was an accident, you know, at that four-way stop, which involved a student, and because somebody didn't stop at the stop sign. So the intent is not to make this a, you know, do anything other than provide safety and the well-being of our community and stuff, so.
True, but when they are making those stops, that's when you lead into the other arrests. When you
Absolutely.
lead into the drugs, when you lead into the child trafficking, when you lead into all these other things. If you're not making stops, you're not gonna find any of that other stuff.
That's true.
And that seemed to be the case previous years, so.
Yeah, and I can elaborate that on a stop that was made that our police officers were there too as well, that was more than a traffic stop a couple months ago and stuff. I'll just leave it at that too, so.
Do you have
So-
a figure that would show how many of the sheriff's arrests are in the city of Miller?
I do not. Shane, is that something you have or could provide? Just yours is just a county, right?
Figure it out, but it's not on the spreadsheet in that order,
Right.
but I know people figure it out.
I think that'd be an interesting and showing.
It would be.
as well.
It would be.
Yeah.
If that's something you could provide to us, Shane, when you get a chance. You got 2 weeks. I want it tomorrow.
Put Chelsea on it right away.
Thank you.
Right. Anything else with regard to unfinished business? Hearing none, I'll go to new business with
We
regard.
talked about, I
I'm
don't
sorry.
wanna stop, just,
Yeah,
do we wanna set a public meeting? Cause that was the biggest thing that didn't happen from before. So I don't wanna jump too much into it.
no, no,
But we talked about that last meeting,
I thought we
to
came.
actually get the public's
Yeah.
feeling of this. I don't want us to
Yeah.
be in the driver's seat on this, since the public is what
Yeah.
drove it before.
I think after last meeting, and correct me if I'm wrong, I'm thinking there was an understanding that we would eventually, whatever that date would be, am I assuming wrong?
No, you're
Okay.
right.
Whatever date we set, you know, and now that Councilman Swets is, you know, taken over this aspect of the Public Safety Committee, you know, we can you maybe see if a date can be of such, or, you know, with regard to.
Whatever works with Shane and
Yeah,
Ted. and-
Yeah,
And I just wanna say.
go ahead, please.
Is that microphone on?
Is it?
Is the little
Sounds
light,
like
green
it.
light on?
Light's green.
Oh,
Brighter
shit.
now?
Oh, now it's brighter. And I just wanna say that me being here, the discussions that I've had in no way are who's making more stops, who's making more arrests, cause I will tell you right now that I enjoy working side by side with Ted. We spend time in each other's offices, we talk about cases together. We've gone out and hopped in each other's cars when we're working on the same case, so I don't want that to be thought of that it's us against them. The things that I've, been in discussion about are, you know, where we can save the city money, the county money, if that's possible, if it's worth it, things like that. Again, Ted has been an awesome addition to the community, to our relationship, I guess, between the city police department and the sheriff's office. It's been a long time, whatever. Me and Ted are working really well together, so I don't want anybody to think that this is I got more stops than Ted. Might slug him in the arm with that once in a while, but it's not, they're better,
Yes.
we're better. It's
Right.
not that type of thing. So I just wanted to say that. If anybody has any questions, I open the door for those questions for, like you say, money-wise, resources, you know, what works better together or apart, so that's, I guess.
Maybe I can get together with you and Ted since have a little time off.
Okay.
And we can meet and go over some things, just talk about things and
That'd be-
see
Yeah, absolutely.
what we're thinking. That'd probably be the best idea.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah, I think we need to gather more information before we have the meeting. And that would be a good start, to have the three of them sit down.
yeah.
Get some more concrete numbers and,
Yeah. Has anyone talked to the
Equipment.
commissioners?
I've informed them of
Okay.
the interest of exploring it, I should say.
Okay.
Their standpoint is they're gonna wait until you guys come to them.
Right.
Okay.
They don't wanna,
I don't wanna make it look like they're instigating it or whatever.
they're not pushing for anything, they're not,
Right.
dodging away from anything either, they're just, it's, the ball's in your court, as they say, so.
Okay.
Okay.
So, like I said, if we can help each other out,
I'll reach out to you and Ted. I'll just do a group text and we'll see what time works best and
okay,
we can meet wherever.
okay.
Okay,
What is
Perfect.
the-
No
the
weird
driving
emojis,
force
please.
Behind this, what is the root of the desire to do this? Or, I mean,
well,
is
way
it-
back.
Is it only a financial motivation or is it deeper than that?
Well, I don't know, Mary Jo, do you remember, was it 2 years ago? They had a public meeting because they wanted some switches, and at that meeting, the public was promised there would be a follow-up like in 6 months, and it's been 2 years and there hasn't been one. Myself, I haven't heard any more about it, but Patrick has been, asked about it, if we were gonna follow up. And that was something we never did.
but I think what Will is saying is, what was the driving force?
What's the meaning behind it?
Yeah,
Well, I think it's safe to say, and I'll be the bad guy here, I think it's safe to say that at those times, those numbers were way down. And it was, I think that's what it was,
and
the activity was, and I
Yeah.
kind of step out on the broken branch saying that, but back then, that was the driving force.
And I wasn't on the committee then, or the council then, but I was coming to meetings and I was at that public meeting they had, and that's what it was.
Yeah.
Just the city police weren't doing their job.
Right. And now we,
That was the crux of it, is that the citizens of Miller felt that the police department was not doing their job
Exactly.
appropriately.
Right.
And there was a lot of hassling with some of our citizens. And, also at that time,
Mary Jo, you just want to.
Can you,
You just
can
go up there
you
to
be okay
the
up there?
mic now.
At that time, everything was going up. We were getting hit with surcharges and the majority of people that I spoke with felt that by combining the departments, we would get better coverage, plus save some money. The council at that time was supposed to investigate to see whether that would actually save us some money. They had the big meeting, and basically nothing else was done. So, you know, they never researched it to see if it would save us any money. You know, in the meantime, I will say that we have a new police chief. I believe things are better. I don't know how other folks in the community feel. But I still think we need to look at it, because if we can save some money and have the same coverage, have the same safety that we feel that we have in Miller, South Dakota, then, but we need to check that out. The citizens of Miller are tired of spending money, I guess. And everything keeps going up, and you know, inflation, groceries go up, everything goes up. Surcharges, another surcharge, you know, so.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much.
I think if you're really gonna have an honest conversation about what the driving force behind all this is, there's gonna have to be a handful of very frank conversations, personnel conversations. And I don't know where the right setting for that is. But I think if you wanna really have an honest conversation about the driving force behind, a unified law enforcement, there needs to be some conversations about personnel. I think that's what a lot of people think, and nobody wants to say that.
And I'll say the whole thing that got me started on this, because I ran under let's give the city police chief a chance, and it's in the numbers that he is turning things around, and he's doing a good job, and he's getting the personnel to point a better path. But the thing that we're fighting right now is a public perception problem of the past. And that's what we're fighting. So I don't know if we just need if only thing that comes out of this is we just get a better public perception of the department, or if we actually have to address the public perception that is coming to me. That's how we had bad public perception, and people were listing grievances of the past. Like, well, why wasn't anything done in the past? I'm like, I don't know, I wasn't on the council. He's like, well, nothing was done. Can you bring it back up? And I said, well, why do you think it needs to get brought up now that we have a new police chief and they're citing past issues and negative stories with the department? So I don't know how much of it is current and how much of it is past. Every instance is obviously tied to personnel, because people work the job. That's all there is to it. So I will tag on that,
Yeah.
yes, the things that got me started on this was personnel related.
And this by no means, and I agree, but I always also think with regard to what Mrs. Gordmaker said, you know, so there's other, you know, with regard to a slew of, you know, expenses, you know, I mean, there's, sometimes, we throw, I shouldn't say throw, there's additional things that'll get us to a certain point that we will be asking for something. And, you know, I know that was probably something in reaching out, maybe we can save a little bit of money. No, at the same time, not disregarding anything of some of the changes that have been made that have been, you know, pretty positive too, so. But it's also people in a position to be able to accept those changes. You know, I think that's also a tribute. It's just, it might not be a new direction, but it's also those people working with that new direction, you know, as well, so. Okay? Anything else? So we'll just,
So are you doing anything, or we just, the problem is we'll talk about stuff and then
We never do
you
anything
never
about it.
do it. So I think there needs to be a decision made that if you're gonna do a public meeting to discuss numbers, I don't know if they're solid numbers yet, how far into it has to be looked at before they are solid numbers, and then
That'd be a Shane question on the numbers that were given.
I think between Shane, Mike and,
so their meeting,
Matt.
once they have
When
their
they get
meeting,
together, yeah.
I'm just saying.
I'll get together with Ted, with Shane,
Right.
Okay,
and then once we figure something out and we get some solid numbers down, I can bring that back to the council. And then we can decide when we want to do a meeting, we can get a hold of the
Right.
commissioners. and
I
do
would
it
like
that
to have an
way.
executive session before we have a public meeting.
We can do that.
Certainly.
yeah,
does it? With reg-
I
personnel.
would like,
Oh.
if you guys are gonna meet and do that, I would like you to do, Shane and Ted, to do the pros and the cons of whether, if we join forces, this is what we can do. If we stay separate, this is what we can do. To me, that makes sense, so then the public can look at it and say, oh, well, maybe we don't want this. Oh, maybe we do want this. That's what I'd like to see.
Well, and I think that's a very easy accomplishment between me and Ted and Mike, because me and Ted get along really well. We can be
Right.
It's
honest
not
with
gonna be
each other.
cutthroat against each other, they're
Right.
gonna,
Right.
We're not
And
gonna
that's a
fight
lot
against
different
each
than
other.
what it has been in the past, but getting people to forget about what happened in the past is gonna be
Right.
hard.
Right, and like I was saying, it wasn't in the mic, me and Ted will be able to have an honest discussion together, because we respect each other,
Yeah.
we talk all the time, so that's, when that happens, it'll be honest, it won't be, like he said, it won't be cutthroat and it won't be wishy-washy.
And again, that's what I think. that's
I
what
think you're
says
right, that's
a lot.
probably the best case scenario, the way of doing it.
Yeah.
I like that.
Well, and once you have this meeting, you don't know what's coming down the road in the future. There might be turnover with your department, or there might be turnover with the city police department with retirements, or people moving on, or whatever. And if you got your facts in order now, then that becomes easier to take a look at it when those situations arise.
Absolutely.
I was a little taken back by the amount that that is Ted requesting for this year. I know that the county is going back and redoing all of their budgets, as it's not gonna fly the way that it sets right now, and I know you guys haven't even started that process yet. So I would like to see what we're at right now for budget for the police department. Are we on budget? Are we over budget? Where are we at? Where are we gonna end up at the end of the year? And then what we're looking at for next year, because that number looks awful big to me. I've been going through these budgets with you guys for 17 years, and that number looked really big to me.
So you seen the budget like that was on last week's, or what?
Correct, just what you guys had in the agenda last week, and I was like, ooh, that number looks big.
And there was a
So I
car
would
on
like
there
to see-
also.
There's a
so-
car in there for one
Yeah.
thing.
And tasers, and so there's some things on there.
Tasers.
We've had cars before, the number's not been that big.
Well, the cost of cars is a hell of a lot bigger now than it used to be.
And so is
The last car
gas.
that we got was 46, this one's gonna be 55, but the number is a whole lot bigger than $9,000 difference in the budgets before and the budgets now.
Okay.
So that's my only thing, I'm gonna have to be doing more budget meetings at the county, and I don't wanna have to do more budget meetings here, so,
Okay,
just my input.
thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
I do have a question, if I
Oh,
may.
yeah, Nate, you got, not to cut you short, you got about a minute and a half, then we have
Yes,
to.
sir, I'll be quick. If, after the meetings are done and the Public Safety Committee, I think that's the name, and the Sheriff's Department, the Police Department, if they come to the conclusion that the best option is to combine, the police functions, how is that, after that recommendation is made, how is that implemented? Is it
It would have to be a vote,
is it a vote in the city council?
a citywide vote.
Or a citywide
I
vote?
would think.
I
it
would definitely
be
say a
city
citywide
and
vote.
And the
county.
county
Yeah.
commissioners.
And,
probably.
yeah.
Yeah, it would-
Would
It
have
would
to-
not just be a decision made by us right here, no way.
I didn't
No
know
way.
other than that.
No way.
Would the county be involved, would the county voters be involved with that as well?
It would, I would assume.
I would assume
because
so.
They
So it
would,
would be a countywide
It'd be a
vote.
countywide vote then,
Okay.
not a city,
Might
yeah.
have to, might have to clarify that on, I don't know about legality of, I don't know if anything legality steps in on having, because their law, or their law enforcement is not changing, but the city is.
Yes.
So we might have to clarify that answer. I don't think anybody
Yeah.
here is
Oh, that's fact,
educated
yeah.
enough to know that we're involving county-wide people to vote.
So the assumption.
Good answer, Pat.
Assumption that it goes to a vote, but you're not to that point yet.
No, we're just in
No.
the gathering stage right now,
Okay.
information.
Well, that would be
We know
some of the
city people
information
to
you
vote,
need
but
to
not-
gather.
Right.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we have to adjourn as common council. Yes. Request a motion to adjourn as a temporarily adjourn for this common council and go to convene as a board of adjustments.
I'll make the motion.
Oh, okay.
Adjourn.
A second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, the same? Motion carries. Okay. Have a request for a variance hearing with James Daly's deck.
It's in that green folder.
Oh, the green one, I knew there was a different one.
Yeah.
Have any of you looked at where this is going?
I have not, no.
I'm semi-familiar with the property.
Okay.
I've worked around there before.
So how does it,
about you,
sit
Will?
with other houses next to it?
That's the thing, is that generally speaking, I would not be in favor of a variance that moves structure outside of the original parameters.
You know,
But in this
somebody's,
case, there isn't a single thing on that block or the 3 blocks,
Yeah.
either direction of it, that line up anyway. And so aesthetically speaking, it doesn't do any harm to anything.
okay, that's what I was wondering,
I feel the same way as what Will said.
yeah. 'Cause I-
It's not, there's a tree that's literally on that corner that there's a tree on the corner of that house that would obstruct more view than that deck would as far as turning, that corner.
And that house to the south doesn't line up with the garage or the house on
Yeah.
this property.
And, well,
anyway.
even when you look to the north across the street, I don't know how that shed got put there, but it's actually just as far out.
Yeah, that's, I
So-
don't think, in just as much a violation.
Trying to figure out where we're at.
We're here, right? Am I in the right spot?
Yep.
Yeah, you see that other shed to the north there? It's pushed clear forward. Now, I will say the right of way there is quite large. The deck will be about 2 feet from the right of way, but that right of way is quite large there,
Okay.
so.
I know there's a lot of houses in town that are not
Right.
to spec, so it's, you know,
How far back this is, there's no, usually houses are closer than that, and you'd be worried about a blind corner
sure.
or something, and so.
Okay, well, and I appreciate the comment, because the last time we had something like this, I think we had to have, they had, 2 property owners had to come together to, I think last time we came, 2 property owners had to get together, so they were in compliance with regard to, I think it was a storage shed, was that up on?
And that was a property line issue.
Yeah, that was a property line issue, but I think the property owners resolved that with regard to buying more property, yeah, so. It's on, property is 330 East 9th Street. Lots-
East Third Avenue.
er,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Is it street?
Yeah, East Third Avenue and Ninth Street.
East Third Avenue.
Yeah, she was asking the corner. that
Oh,
it
I'm
was on.
sorry, okay. All right. Anything else?
I'm James Daly, the property owner,
Okay.
and in anticipation of this discussion, I did bring a series of pictures, if that would be helpful.
Yeah, sure, yes.
I took them from standing where I'm proposing the deck to be looking north and south. There's a lot of trees in the way, so I went to the adjacent streets, 9th Street. Well, there's a alley to the north of 9th Street, and then on 8th Street, showing both ways. And the shed that he mentioned to the north is on that line. And to the south, there's a walkway structure that looks just like a deck, just across 8th Street in the middle of the block that sticks out significantly farther than what I'm proposing.
Okay, that'd be great.
Thank you.
Yes.
You talking
This is Corey Blatchford.
about Ronnie's?
Yeah.
Oh, those are all different pictures. Okay.
So this is north.
That one.
Yeah, this is,
I'll
Blatchford.
look on these with you so we can send them down.
Keith Blatchford.
Yeah, this is
Oh, okay.
Corey Blatchford.
Corey,
Oh,
sorry.
Corey's.
Corey, there you go. Now I know.
That's Ron's. He's just showing it at a different angle. Sure.
No.
We'll never even see.
And I think as long as other ones aren't.
Okay.
There are a few trees around there.
Any additional discussion or questions? If none, I would entertain a motion to either accept or reject the variance request.
I'll make a motion to accept the variance request.
I'll
Second.
Oh, there we go.
Okay,
Whoever you take.
motion made and second. Is there any discussion?
There.
Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose the same. Motion carries. Okay.
Easy peasy, lemon squeezy.
Thanks for the pictures.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That helps.
That helps a lot,
Okay.
yeah.
And then at this, yeah, we'll go ahead, and then with regard to the building permit.
Make a motion to approve the building permit request?
Probably. You need a motion to.
We already need a second.
Second.
Oh, okay, there. Mike
Second,
got it.
discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Oppose the same. Motion carries. Thank you.
Very good.
how you doing?
Okay,
Need to stand up.
We'll have a building permit for you tomorrow if you wanna stop in and get it.
yes, and thank you. Yes, yes, you betcha.
Thank you.
On page 3,
Do we have to call back
oh,
in?
I'm sorry, we reconvene as the common council. Okay.
7:37?
Yep, thank you. Okay, on page 3, Sarah had a nice
Right up.
quote write-up with regard to this. Jan, do you have a copy of this write-up? I'd like,
This one from the pool?
yes,
Yep.
or from Sydney.
Yep.
Okay,
It's all underlined.
yeah, well, good, good. So,
Important.
you know, I think the only concern that she had is at the end, when it talked about the
Heater.
heater. You know, and I think Terry has mentioned that, that's probably gonna be an issue again, next year too as well. So, we have that. I don't know about any, you know, the numbers, were impressive.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna go through that. At 13 lifeguards, sold approximately 98 season passes, 73 private, lessons, 12 pool parties, 161 regular lessons. And she talked, you know, had a breakdown with regard to, for regular swimming lessons, had 3 sessions. One session had 29 kids, session 2 had 44, 3 had 56, and then session 4 had 32. I had water aerobics holding 169 people, and there's some open swimming in the month of June, had about 1,676 swimmers. In July, 2,162. And then in August until the 12th, it was 811. And then, so the total summer had 4,649. So those are good numbers with regard to the amount that our pool is being utilized. You know, even the, you know, the condition, and that's again a tribute to our city workers for, you know, putting a Band-Aid on that thing that is not gonna have a Band-Aid, it's not gonna,
Not many,
no,
not many Band-Aids big enough.
no. So, Having said that, though, those are good numbers to go on moving forward with proposal of,
It might have been more like a body cast.
Right.
yeah. Yeah, okay.
It needs home.
All right,
needs work.
so I want to, thank Sydney for that, and I think the encouraging thing is, in her closing comment, other than that, it was a great summer. I had a busy, fun-filled summer, and I'm looking forward to next summer, so I like those closing statements.
Right.
By her and stuff, so having said that, okay. Other new business on pages 4 through 6 is the ATI insurance premium. Okay, I think, the total, I think we're still in the process of getting where, some of these items go. Am I,
Yeah, I wasn't sure what some of these different liabilities are. I did call them on the cemetery liability, and I have not received a revised invoice yet, but they're gonna take that off. Because we obviously don't have a cemetery. And I wasn't really sure how, because these are a lot different than what we've had in the past, how you want them broken out. In some cases, like our fire hall building needs to have some liability, but it doesn't obviously need to have the errors and omissions and the theft and, I'm just not really
So we just
sure
need to
what
kind of
some-
fine tune where everything goes
I
and what
don't
it's
know
for.
where some of these go, cause they're just different types of liabilities. And they kind of, some of them are all encompassing and some of them are.
Wonder if Joe could answer those questions as far as,
I was wondering if like the finance committee could meet with Joe and kind of get that broke down and then
Yeah.
let me know. Is it just employees, then it would be the departments with those, but like I said, if somebody trips on the sidewalk at the fire hall, or the bus barn, or the park, or those liabilities, what covers that? I don't know.
well, is that something you could just shoot an email to Joe and ask him your questions
I did ask him some, but I wasn't really sure, and,
as far as the explanations?
yeah, I was like, I don't know. But I
Okay.
can try again. It's-
I mean, we can certainly do it, that's not a problem, I just thought if it's a question you had, he'd be the one to answer it. We wouldn't have to go through 3 stages to get there is kind of what my thought was, but,
Like our excess liability, that's kind of up to you guys. Cyber makes sense. It's gonna be anybody that's got a computer. That's gotta
Right.
go over.
right.
Excess liability, that's your up to 7 million. You want that just
That just goes to everybody.
everybody?
That'd be just like your umbrella,
Right.
be over top of everything, on every department,
Terrorism, probably on everybody.
I would think.
I would think so.
Now your computer funds, transfer fraud, and theft of money and securities. Is that really just the 4 of us that can sign transfers? I don't really know. Or would that be the finance office and the council? Cause the other guys don't have any access to anything. Cause really, there's only 4 of us that have computer and funds transfer capabilities.
I would say those would be the
That'd
4,
be
that
the
would need to be
4.
the one then, yeah.
I'd split that between the council and the finance office.
I would assume so. Yeah, that would make sense to me.
But again, I think that would be good questions for Joe.
Right.
To,
And like money orders and counterfeit money, is that us accepting that?
I would assume so. If we receive counterfeit,
Do we accept cash?
something that would be
Do we
coverage for
accept
it.
cash?
Might have
We do,
to
okay.
Sit down with Joe. and
yeah,
figure it out.
sounds like a
But yeah, you're right. I
good
think that's definitely
conversation
a
with
Joe
Joe.
conversation.
About 40% of my people pay that way.
There's a lot of people that
That's a lot of
don't
people.
trust themselves
They
with
cash
credit
that check and that's it.
cards. Yep, they won't.
That envelope from the bank is their wallet till the next paycheck.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And it is amazing how many people will stick a wad of cash in the box and forget to put their slip in there, and it's like, oh, this is about the amount for this person, so.
Oh, my.
small town living right
Yeah,
there,
that's
right?
the only way you can do it.
And you know they always pay the last day.
Yes, we know which ones pay what day and how much theirs is,
Wow.
so if they don't put their name up,
So we just need to get with Joe and go through all these different individual deals and see where they should pertain to? Is that kind of what you're thinking?
Hired auto liability, the non-owned liability, and the broad form endorsement, I don't know what those are, do we even need them?
I would think that would that would come into play when we're using county stuff and have county employees helping us, I would think.
That would make sense.
The non-owned liability would probably be that, what about the hired auto?
Probably if you hire somebody and they wreck something.
Do
Would
we have
that be it?
somebody?
Would that be us renting a vehicle when we go on a trip? I wasn't sure, I mean, it was like,
Well, you might have to rent a vehicle if something happened to one of the police cars or
yeah, if we had.
one of the trucks.
I think what that is referring to is if somebody goes to do something on city business in their own car and gets in a wreck.
Especially,
We're still working for the city, but they're in their personal car. I
Or-
think that's what hired. I could be completely wrong about that, but
or if someone uses the city car, so we don't have another one to give, so they use their personal car, but they're on city business.
we could probably just not speculate and just call Joe.
Yeah,
Be way easier.
Goes
That's
back
the
to
easiest way.
Goes
'Cause I
back to
thought
the
that would
who's
be-
educated.
I really thought that would be the non-owned auto liability, because if the city didn't own it and we were using it.
but I don't think it would take much for Joe to go line by line to
Right.
explain all of that.
And maybe he would have us, SDPAA, instead of charging us for our own, like if we used our own, we all had to sign that we had our insurance and we had our valid driver's license, and then they didn't charge us for that line item, because we were liable. If I wrecked my car on company business, my insurance has got to cover it.
But if you personally get hurt, you're on city time,
Right.
so you'd have to be covered.
Yeah, workman's comp would cover that.
Yeah, but for like us, if we were on city business and got hurt,
And see, we
I
had
don't think
council
our-
sign that too.
I'm pretty sure like it'd be, would our own, insurance pay for it if they thought they
The
could?
companies would figure it out for you.
They'd have to figure it out, yeah.
The companies
Not,
are gonna fight that behind
not
the
me.
scenes.
I think this is a Joe
yeah,
question.
yeah.
And we can, work with you and work with the committee to make sure we have those answers with regard
Yeah,
Yep.
to that, okay?
sounds good.
All right. So in the meantime, the premium,
That will for sure go down by the
Yes.
cemetery amount. And then there were a couple of vehicles that had been marked as deleted that they missed, so we have this, I can't remember, that was not hardly anything,
We'll have to add our new oil truck,
that's on. I did call them
Yeah.
on that, I did get that added.
our new used oil truck.
New to us.
New to us.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes, I did get that added right away, so that was very pain-free.
okay?
Well, Shayla, maybe when we're done, I can get with you and you can mark on here which ones you want specified.
Described, yeah. a little
Yeah,
bit more.
what descriptions you need, and then I can get ahold of Joe and see.
Okay,
That'll be easy enough.
all
Yeah.
right. When are they expecting this invoice then?
I would think within 30 days, and we, this
Yeah.
is dated August 30th.
So we're okay for the next meeting?
No.
We just, I thought we approved it in this batch of bills. Maybe it wasn't in there. I guess it wasn't in there.
No, because we didn't know how to break it down, so. But we can do a demand check, and then it'll be approved on the next
Okay,
list,
That works.
so.
As long as we're insured.
That's the main thing, yes.
so we're okay with that?
Yeah,
All
we'll
right.
hopefully get a new invoice
All right,
shortly.
okay,
Yeah, again, I can reach out to Joe and after the meeting, we'll get together and you can mark which ones you need more description.
okay. All right, okay, then on the water and sewer project on page 7, there's a pay request. And then there's that change order on page 8 with regard to the, that sewer hookup that,
Well, that 2145?
yeah, that was missed.
What was the conclusion there? Are we going to pay for that?
I think we
We kind of split it.
split it.
SPM paid for 50% of it, and the city paid for 50% of it.
Is there any like reassurance, they don't just add their half of it back onto our bills over the next 6 months, and we end up paying for all of it anyway? I feel like that's kind of what happens.
Is there any assurance that you
Yeah.
don't add
Well,
if you have to go back and fix something?
I think I think that's where the,
There's an upfront price. They already know what it's gonna cost.
Right.
I think that's where the trust factor, I know we went through some things that, with regard to, I think, moving forward, was it phase 4 I was in, looking over some figures or a contract? And then,
And it was the same.
it was the same. So, could they? Yeah. Will they? I'd like to think not, you know.
But it's still something a person needs to watch for.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I don't know how we'd ever even see it.
You won't, yeah. I
They
mean,
could, a project that big, they could
Yeah.
hide it anywhere.
Yeah, and I don't want to insinuate that.
Nuts
that
and
with
bolts
that-
and boards and wire and.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but there's no insinuation that they're going to do that. I mean, that's just a, you know,
You
It's a
see
good
line that
faith.
says this and that for the same amount. That's
yeah, so,
And actually, they had a contract amount for their engineering fees, and if you look at their bills, it's got, this is the contract amount on there, and this is how much is left to pay.
yeah.
So it's pretty clear
Yeah.
what that contract amount was when they did this,
I think we're safeguarded,
yeah.
yeah, with that, okay?
I would move we pay the Olson request number 23 in the amount of 169,473.26.
I'll second that.
Discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Pose the same, motion carries. Okay? And then,
I would also move that we approve the change order number 11.
Second.
discussion. Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Pose the same, motion carries. Did I say, yeah. Nobody had any objection to number 23, right?
No.
I did not sure if I said that. Okay?
I make a motion that we go into executive session.
Okay?
I'll second that.
Time is.
Thank you for coming, sir.
Yes,
Yeah,
thank
thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Yeah, you guys have a good night.
I just wanna say one thing before I leave. You know, I always have to have the last word.
That's okay, somebody has to.
If in fact, the citywide, or the countywide law enforcement goes into it's pretty much given that we have to have a vote on it, correct?
Yes.
I think so.
Absolutely.
Therefore, I just wanna state that Patrick really can't be conflict of interest because he's not gonna vote 5,000 times. He can only vote once.
Yes. But as far as at the table of discussion here,
Right.
we've got to be protected. He can, and he's gonna be able to vote if it goes to the public vote. He's just not,
Right.
yeah,
He's just gonna keep his mouth shut about.
yeah.
We'll
He's
see.
just trying to keep it from
Well,
looking like there
Right,
could be.
I
He's the one
understand.
pushing
I
for
just-
any certain way.
I just
Right.
wanted to clarify that it's really not, it really won't be a conflict of interest because he can't, it's not gonna come to the city council for a vote. It's going
Can you sign
to
while you're walking?
Right.
citywide for a election.
I just wanted to,
Thank you.
and not everybody knows this, but when someone brings something to me, I want to feel like I'm going to run it up the ladder. And I know several people have done that. Jan's even done it and called me and put me onto something. I
Right.
just,
And that's what your job is as a city council.
Right.
So, and I appreciate it.
Well, you're the chairman of the safety committee, right?
for right now.
So, I mean, that's,
Yeah,
in you being the chairman, that's your job.
That's the way I take it, and
Yeah.
I feel as though I am
That's why I call it.
qualified for the job with all the side deals, but who knows, I might
Okay,
get moved.
thanks, guys.
Thank you.
but
Thank
moving
you.
forward with regard to this, Mike's gonna
Mike's gonna do it.
take over.
And I will make
Yeah.
sure that that's noted, that you're gonna kinda absorb that,
Right.
to keep the appearances looking all nice and.
Exactly, exactly.
Time? I'm sorry.
It's,
I
right
gotta
now
do
it's
this.
8:54.
I keep trying to do
Or
this. so I can see
7:55.
that thing. 7:55?
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
You too, thank you.
I get to go home to an entirely sick household. Which is happy for me.
You what?
I get to go home to an entirely sick household.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Lucky you.
Yep. Benson's got the upset tummy. Laura's got sore throat and sneezing, and her eyes are all swollen shut, and Mike's got body aches all over and his throat hurts. I would stay